Mentioned the Badgers a couple times now. This is the best class they've had this millennium. Top 20 in the country, number 3 in the Big Ten. 6 different 4- and 5-star players are heading to Madison. We talked with Paul Chryst on the first signing day about his great group.
It's a really good day, and for each individual, it's obviously a big day. But for us, it's a day where we're adding a group of guys that we think really fit this place and can help this team, and we're excited about it.
Well, let's talk about one of the guys that I'm sure you're quite appreciative for, and that's Nolan Rucci. Specifically him, what is it that makes him so impressive?
Well, he's, obviously a very talented football player. And, we've been fortunate to get to know Nolan early, and love his family. And, his brother's on our team right now. And so it feels like, to have this day come and really when he gets a chance to come on campus. But he's a really talented football player. But a great person, and comes from an awesome family, and so it's one we're truly appreciative of, and excited that he's joining us.
When you're going after offensive linemen like him, how much does the fact that your program has become a factory towards the NFL, how much does that help sell Wisconsin for you?
Certainly, I think it helps, and I think everyone's got a dream and a vision, and there has been a path to accomplish those things while being here. And certainly the credit for those who have gone on goes to those players. But I also do believe that, we do enough things well and guys work at it that it does give them their best chance. But it's, the guys that have moved on, it's a credit first and foremost to them. And yet I think it does show kids that are coming in and want to join it that you can be the best offensive lineman in the country. You can be a part of, a great unit of offensive linemen. And so I think it certainly helps.
Last year was the best recruiting class Paul Chryst had brought in. This year is breaking that and even better. You look at the top recruiting classes in the West the last handful of seasons. I mean, Howard, the simple way to put it is just the first couple of years that Paul Chryst was recruiting, he was bringing classes 39, 40, 44, something like that. 2 years ago, he cracks the top 30. Last year, the top 25. And now this year, he cracks the top 15 nationally.
Yeah, so what's changing? And I think you really have to look at some of the on-the-field changes that have happened as far as coaches are concerned. But to me, it's more about what's going on in the back office, the evaluation process, and their willingness to get in more of these fights for some of these 4- and 5-star. Logan Brown was the last 5-star player that they brought in, offensive lineman. Expect him to probably be the starter this year. So you're starting to see a lot of that young talent is starting to develop, but now they're getting more aggressive on the recruiting trail, and I think it's starting to pay dividends, particularly when you look at the recruiting rate.
And looking at this class, we mentioned Nolan Rucci. Howard, you just mentioned them getting Logan Brown. You always talk about the offensive line with Wisconsin, but let's look at the other side of the football. What really stands out in this class to me is their defensive front seven, and they've done a great job of developing players there, from the Watt brothers down to Zach Bond and guys like that. Braylon Allen is an interesting story in this class because he was originally in the 2022 class and chose to reclassify into the 2021 class. So he's going to arrive, get there early. He's a kid who is extremely strong in the weight room, benches or squats over 500 pounds. You see that with the way he hits. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. Strong safety in high school, could move down into the box, already 215 pounds, but just kind of an interesting story of 2021. Some of these guys who didn't get to play reclassifying.
Yeah, Howard, you mentioned the back room. I think Wisconsin was one of the last teams or to really develop that back room. I think it was a little foreign to what they wanted to do there. But I think as you compete with teams that have those big back rooms, it really does help. And Allen, 247, has Joe Rudolph ranked 17th best recruit in the country. Chris Herring is ranked 28th best recruiter in the country. You mentioned the Ohio State coaches. This staff probably has the second highest rating if you look at the individual coaches in the conference. And I think the other thing that could change, Mike, you mentioned the offensive line, and you asked Paul about how the offensive line recruits itself. That same offensive line, if they evolve offensively and go to more of a spread attack, it would allow them to recruit maybe some more skilled players, more perimeter players. And that offensive line, nowadays, if you watch the NFL are running spread offenses right now. It's the first time that the schemes have trickled up instead of down. We used to get everything from the NFL. Now the NFL is taking the offenses from the universities. So I think the back rooms, as Howard said, I think the staff's really worked hard. And I think the last step could be, if Paul wants to evolve a little bit offensively, it would help recruit some perimeter players.
Well, and that's sort of the thing, Jerry. If you're a Badger fan, what has you so excited? They've been so good at winning games for a long time, but did they have enough elite talent to come into the program? Probably not, but look at what they've done. 6 4 and 5 stars this year. They had 5 last year, so that's 11 in the last 2 years. They had 12 the previous 6 years combined. That's how great things are going right now in Madison.